Bum 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 bum. It's the final showdown. Welcome back to Strongman Personal Finance. We got a sponsored video today. That's right, I was paid to do this video. And if you want me to talk about a specific subject, see the pinned comment below and I'll talk about pretty much whatever you want, except for stock valuations and price predictions. On top of that, if you want to have me prepare your taxes for the 2024 tax year, I'm a CPA and I'm probably cheaper than your clown CPA that you're using. See the pinned comment below. Now let's dive into the subject of this sponsored video. What is the difference between VT my ET, the Chaddest of the Chad, the Giga Chad of the universe, of the world at least? What is the difference between VT, which I am personally pretty deep in, BALLS deep in, and VTI, which is the Vanguard Total Stock Market, America, and VXUS? Now, if you're a sophisticated investor and you don't buy stuff that goes up a lot, and you believe in efficient markets and index funds over the long run, you're going to have some kind of global portfolio. And there's two very simple ways to do it. You can either pick one ETF, VT, or the mutual fund equivalent, VTWAX, or you can have a combination of VTI and VXUS. Because VT is the world. The world. If you look at the globe, it has America in it, okay? America's not on the moon. I don't know, people don't seem to understand this. VT includes America and the rest of the world. As a matter of fact, if we go down, we can see that it has 9,891 stocks versus the benchmark of 10,111. Oh my God, what stocks are we excluding? And we can see all the markets that you're exposed to. U.S. stocks, bro, 62.3%. Now you're like, why that allocation? Well, that's where it should be. Okay, that's exactly where it should be. Japan, United Kingdom, China, Canada, India, France, blah, 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 blah. I don't want to hear your garbage about international sucking. I don't care. Okay, that's not the point. Anyway, VT is the world. You want to have one ETF and you want to own the world at market cap weights. And you don't want to just disregard companies simply because they're based in another country. Because trust me, there's good companies out there around the world. And there's trash companies in the US. If you want to own everything in one ETF, fully investable, okay? There's some stocks out there that are like owned by governments. You can't really invest in them. So those are kind of excluded from VT. But if you're able to invest in them, they get included in VT. Okay, at market cap weights, which means they are riding along with the market. The market is determining the price of stocks, and you're just following along with the market. You're basically piggybacking off all the active investors in the universe, okay? But you have global diversification. VTI, however, is just U.S. stocks, bro. 3,654. This is all the stocks, basically, that are publicly listed in America. If you want total exposure, not just the S&P 500. You want total exposure, you would have VTI. Now, if we go back to VT, 62% is basically VTI. So if you took VTI and you just plopped it into VT, this is VTI. This is VTI. That's it. It's as simple as that, okay? And then you have VXUS, which is the rest of the world, okay? You go down, it's got 8,688 stocks. Every single one of these companies is trash. And every single U.S. stock is good. Remember that, okay? And we can see the markets. Japan, United Kingdom. What's missing? America. This is outside the U.S., okay? So do not ever have both. VT should either be by itself or you have VTI and VXUS. You don't have VT and VXUS. You don't have VT and VTI. You're overlapping. If you want the world, VT. If you want U.S. stocks, bro, VTI. If you want to lower your expense ratio and harvest a foreign tax credit, you would own a combination of VTI and VXUS. Now, I did some math to break this down, okay? Some very, very hard math. And I pulled some stuff from a portfolio visualizer. So the first thing we want to look at is the expense ratio of VT. It's 0.07%, okay? So if you invested $1 million, you would pay roughly $700 in fees Okay, see that math there. $1 million times 0.07% is $700. So you get exposure to the entire world for 0.07%. However, many people like VTI and VXUS, because when you actually weight them, if you own them in proportion to VT, the expense ratio is actually a little bit lower. As a matter of fact, VTI's expense ratio is 0.03% and VXUS's is 0.08. Now, I did the market breakdown here. The U.S. market is 62.3% of the global investable market cap, and XUS is 37.7%. That adds up to 100%, right? Yes, it does. I checked before. So, you can, VTI gives you the U.S. market. Let's highlight in green. Yellow. VTI, U.S. market. VXUS is green, and that's green. VT is all in one. It is all in one. We'll do that in red here because red is masculine, okay? VT is everything. However, if you do a combo of VTI and VXUS, and you just say, I don't like VT because whatever, you would actually save roughly $211 a year in fees, assuming you invested $1 million. That's because when you weight the expense ratios according to the market cap, if you owned VTI and it was 62.3% and you bought it at exactly there, and you owned VXUS and it was 37.7%, your total cumulative expense ratio would be lower. And you would save $211 of fees on $1 million. So I purposely pay a little bit more in fees, and we'll get to that in a second, okay? On top of that, if you own VTI and VXUS separately, you get a foreign tax credit for VXUS. Now, the rule is more than 50% of a fund has to be exposed to international stocks in order to receive the foreign tax credit. If you're in VXUS, that's 100% foreign. So any taxes that you pay, any foreign taxes, you get a credit from the federal government, from the U.S. federal government. It's foreign tax credit. VT, you don't get that, okay? So that's probably going to save you a couple $100, maybe. Maybe it depends on the size of your portfolio, okay? This is assuming it's in a taxable account. If it's in a tax advantage account, it doesn't freaking matter. But VT does not get a foreign tax credit because more than 50% of the portfolio is not international. 62.3% of VT is US. Now, in the future, if international comes back or US lags or whatever, and it goes above 50, the whole foreign tax credit thing is moot. But basically, you save a little bit of money on fees if you're VTI, VXUS, and you own them at the exact weights, and you save a little bit of money on taxes, assuming you're invested in a taxable account, which I don't think you should be unless you've maxed your tax advantage accounts. Okay, maybe you need taxable for some reasons, but overall, I think you should max your tax advantage accounts, okay? What are some other differences? VT, my baby, has 9,891 stocks. VTI and VXUS in combo has 12,342. There is a variance of 2,451 stocks. Why is that? Well, when they construct VT, they're basically trying to match the world index, okay? And there's various tiny stocks out there that don't really move the needle, okay? They're trying to match the index. They're not trying to 100% own every single exact stock at the exact weighting, okay? But they match it as close as possible. And they do a good job with 9,891 stocks, okay? But technically, it's more, bogleheady. It's more indexy. It's more logically consistent by owning all the stocks if you own VTI and VXUS individually, because you'll have 12,342 stocks instead of 9,891. But basically, very tiny stocks is the difference. Okay, in VT, in VTI, in VXUS, all the big ones are all going to be in there at roughly the same weights. Now, let's look at the performance, okay? So, we pull out, and we have this little chart here. So, if I can get it properly. Okay, this thing's freaking out on me. Basically, this is a performance chart, because past performance is very important. But in this case, it actually is. And what I did was, in the blue line, the dark blue, that's VTI and VXUS. The green is VT. And then the light blue is S&P 500. And as you can see, the S&P 500 did better, so therefore you should go all in. Actually, you should go in QQQ. But anyway, we can see that if you punch in the exact weights and you back test it, it looks like VTI plus VXUS is slightly outperformed. Now, that could be fee drag. That could be tax credit. I'm not sure exactly what's getting factored in here. But VT is slightly trailing VTI plus VXUS, held in combo at the exact weightings of VT. So there's a slight performance gap there as well, okay? So you sit there and you're like, King Kong, why are you buying VT when you pay higher fees, you don't get the foreign tax credit, even though most of your money's in tax advantage accounts, and you have a slight performance drag, and it could be because the weightings, I punched in these exact weightings, but that may not have been the weightings in the past, if that makes sense. So it's not an exact correlation. So maybe there is, the performance gap maybe is just fees, basically, or it could be some kind of tracking error. But overall, it's a very negligible difference in performance between VT by itself and then VTI VXUS in combo held at the weights of VT. But the reason that I own VT, and I will say this over and over again, the biggest threat to your portfolio is trying to tinker with your portfolio. If you own these separately, the temptation will be there to overweight or underweight one or the other. And I hazard a guess, you'll overweight US and you'll underweight international if you have VTI and VXUS separately. And if VXUS ever has a good couple of years, you'll overweight VXUS. I know how your brains work, okay? If you own VT, you cannot tinker with your portfolio. It's literally impossible. I mean, you could sell VT, but you can't tinker with your portfolio. You can't screw around with it. And that's the beauty of VTs. It's one ETF, one thing, and all you do is chuck your money into it consistently. You never sell, you reinvest dividends, you put it in the tax advantage accounts, and you grow your wealth as all the publicly traded companies hopefully make more money in the future. Okay? You're basically riding the wave of humanity, all in one ETF. That's the beauty of it, because you cannot tinker with it. It is impossible. And everybody tinkers. I find it hard to tinker because I have one ETF. Like, what am I going to do? Buy VT and sell VT? What am I going to do? Yeah, I can't do anything. Okay? So it's a behavioral thing, and it's worth, in my opinion, the extra cost and the slight performance drag potentially, but that could be inaccurate. So that's the main difference. Now, another thing is the hassle, okay? If you have VTI and VXUS, yes, it's only two ETFs, okay? But you have to continually buy it at the market cap weights. VT automatically sorts that out for you. But let's say US becomes 70% of the global market cap and VXUS becomes 30%. Well, you're going to have to adjust your purchases to buy US at 70 and VXUS at 30%. So the weightings are constantly changing, okay? And in order to like really go along with efficient markets, you have to constantly change the weightings that you're buying it. And when you sell, you have to, theoretically sell at the exact weightings. So it adds a little bit more butt pain, okay? You got to constantly, basically you have to go look at VT or go look at, whatever source that's credible. You have to find the actual weightings, then you have to consistently buy. So if US stocks become 40% of the globe, well, now you got to only buy 40% VTI and 60% VXUS as you buy it, and you have to sell it at that weighting too. That's just more pain. VT, one ETF, slightly more costs, but the bigger cost is going to be your behavior. You will screw it up. Everybody is susceptible to this. Me, you, your mom, God, everybody. Okay, maybe not God. But that's the difference, okay? You get global exposure for both, but VTI and VXUS, you save money. I will not ever make fun of a portfolio that's VTI and VXUS. That is an outstanding portfolio, especially if you weight it according to the global market cap. But I think it's a little bit more, I think it's overall better to just have VT by itself, okay? Does everybody get it now? Hopefully you enjoyed this sponsored video. Hopefully you learned something. Hit like, subscribe, check out the pinned comment if you want to see my tax preparation services, and I can do it cheaper than your CPA. If you want a sponsored video like this one, click the link. Check out my book, Stop Being a Broke Loser. And if you want to talk to me one-on-one, I'm a certified public accountant and I'm a handsome man. See the pinned comment below. Have a wonderful night.